Hi, my name is Wyatt, and I need help. My babies have been taken away from me. 3 babies, my children. And the last time I saw them was 14 and a half years ago. My baby, Maureen, she was 10 then. My next baby, he was 12. And my last baby, he was 16. And that was the last time I saw my babies. I need legal help to get my babies back. I know we live in a free world and a free country. What I want to know, if it's all that free, how could they take my babies from me? I never did anything wrong to my babies. I never did anything wrong to my ex-wife. I never did anything. But they took my babies. My wife took my babies, and the legal system helped my wife take my babies. And I need you to help me to use the legal system to get my babies back, to get them to speak to me. I've approached them 3 different times over the past 14 and a half years. In the first 2 times I approached them on social media, they blocked me. The last time on social media, they simply ignored me. That was in 2011. I've lived every hour of my day since my babies were gone thinking about my babies. Actually, I thought about my babies when they were my babies every hour of the day. I love my children. I was an exemplary parent, I think. I wish my parents were half the parent I was. I had a wonderful relationship with my children. I don't know, I just got along with them. Not that I got along with them. I mean, they loved me. I loved them when we were together. We had a very, very good relationship. And I think what part of the reason that I lost my babies is I really think my ex-wife was jealous of my popularity with my own children. This is Monday morning quarterback. I mean, I didn't think anything of it at the time. But now I look back, I was very, very popular with my children. I also would parent much better than my ex-wife would parent. I was a very active parent. I had some rules with my children. They were simple rules. They weren't hard to follow. One rule was that you had to read a half hour before you went to bed. That was the rule. Half hour before you went to bed, the rule was you got to read a half hour. And then I had, if you didn't want to read clause, I could read to you. So they had that option. And my 2 youngest babies, they usually opted for that option. I used to read to them aloud 3 or 4 times a week on average. And I read all all that I read were chapter books. I read James the Giant Peach, the Chronicles of Narnia, and other chapter books. And when I read to them, I used to change my voice for each character and stuff like that. They loved it. I mean, no wonder they opted for me to read most of the time, because it was they really enjoyed me reading to them. Here's another silly little rule I had is when you're on the computer, and this really went to Ben. He was the computer man. He was the yeah. My children were, Maureen was the youngest, and then it was Ben. He was 2 years older than Maureen. And then it was Devin, and he was 4 years older than Ben. And anyways, I had this rule about the computer, and Ben was like the computer man, you know. And so I used to, the rule was, you can play a half hour on the computer of something that's educational. And after that, knock yourself out. Go play whatever you want. One of the games they liked to play was SimCity. And SimCity, that was really an educational game. It was something to do with, you have a skyscraper and you try to build a skyscraper, and you have to put all kinds of things in, like medical people or something, emergency personnel as you build the thing, and you have to have enough elevators for everybody to do whatever they're going to do to get up in the building. If you didn't have any of this stuff, then the game would fold or something like that. Ben loved that game. And then, but anyways, it was mainly geared to Ben, because he would spend all day on the computer if you let him. And of course, we had to stop all day computering, but at least we got him to do the educational first. And then he would, in fact, I even told him, you know, SimCity is educational. You can do that for a half hour. But he'd end up playing it for an hour or two. And then the, geez, I don't know how many other rules I had. I was all into negotiating with my kids. When I was a parent, my mother said, do what I tell you to do. Why? Why do I have to do this, Mom? Because I'm your mother and I told you to. I didn't like that rule. There's a lot of things I didn't like about my childhood. A lot of things I learned that were bad that I wasn't going to repeat with my own children. And I learned to negotiate with my children. And like, for instance, I remember Ben. I pick on Ben a lot because he was, I don't know, he was the one I had so much fun with. Or he was always challenging me too. So, anyways, he said, Dad, I don't want to do the dishes. And it was my mother. Do the dishes. Why do I have to do it, Mom? Because I'm your mother and I told you to. Not me. I said, okay, Ben, you don't want to do the dishes? Not a problem. Not a problem, boy. Okay. Clean your room instead. Well, I'm sorry. You got to choose. You either do the dishes or clean your room. And it worked out. Occasionally it would come to, he didn't want to do the dishes. I just, okay, Ben, you can either do the dishes or you can do the dishes. He didn't like that one. I don't know, Ben, I pick on Ben a lot. He was, I loved them all. I loved them all. But these are the kind of things I had going on with my children. When they were growing up, I was there. I was there for their graduations, their baseball games. I was there in church with them. I was there for the piano recitals. I was there for my daughter's dance recitals. I was there for every part of their life. And for my boys, they wanted to join Boy Scouts, so I became Scoutmaster because I wanted to make sure they can get the best out of Boy Scouts. And so I was a scoutmaster for 4 years. And I think I was one of the better scoutmasters in quite some time. I had them camping, I had them going to powwows, the whole thing. I was really, really, really good with the boys and Boy Scouts, and I was really good with my boys. And had them camping in the winter even. I don't think they'd camped in the winter in years. But anyways, I was actively involved in that way. But I was also actively involved. When I took them to the beach, I swam with them. I gave them 10 fingers and threw them over my shoulder. I mean, I didn't just sit in my chair and say, go have fun. I went and had fun with them, or made them have fun. Have them have fun. That's what I did. I was a dad. I love my kids. And I love being with them, too. God, I love them. And their mother, she just sit in a damn beach chair. She didn't do shit with them. And other things I used to do, I used to take them sledding all the time. Going down the hill, over the rocks and whatever. I did things with them. My parents never did anything with me. And I just loved them. And I don't know. This is what I was a very, very good parent, very active parent. I remember one time I was in the White Mountains in New Hampshire. That's where I'm from. It's New Hampshire. I'm sorry I didn't say that earlier. I'm a native of New Hampshire. And we went up on top of this mountain. It's called Pine Mountain. And it was right in January 1st, 2nd, we were there. My oldest son and me, just us two. And we went on top of this 3,000-foot mountain in the White Mountains. And there was a structure, I don't know what you would call it, but it had heat in it. So we could sleep inside the structure, the house, whatever you want to call it. And we slept up there all by ourselves, just us two, nobody else. And the snow fell and all that kind of stuff. And on our drive home, I put Devin is his name, my oldest. And Devin, it was snowing when we left. We barely get down the mountain. That's another story. But anyway, we get down the mountain, and then I towed him, because the road was full of snow. It was snowing, and the plows hadn't really got out yet. But I had a four-wheel drive and was able to get through all right. And I towed him in a toboggan in the back for a couple of miles anyways. Was it dangerous? I don't really think so. I went slow. I mean, everybody was going slow. I don't know, whatever. And that's going back to what I would do with my kids. I was a kid. I was the fourth kid. That's what I was. I had 3 kids. I was the fourth one. All 3 of them, well, the oldest was on the Honor Society, made the honor roll all the time. He was 16. Oh, speaking of him, the other thing I did with him, besides tow him behind my truck, is I took him and 2 of his running buddies to Boston to an AC/DC concert. How many dads take their fucking children to a rock concert? Not too many. There are some. But I don't know. I mean, I could go on and on and on about what I did with my children. I never hit them. I never even raised a hand to them. You know why? 1, I don't hit. But 2, there was no reason. They were good, kids. They were good, rounded kids. They never got in trouble. They got always good grades in the schoolwork. They were, and somebody was watching to make sure they did the schoolwork, which was me most of the time. And somebody was watching to make sure they practiced piano. I have to go back to Ben. Ben would practice, and I would start singing. He would, oh God, he would get mad. But anyways, that's enough about my kids. And I think I need to tell you what happened. That I'm not with my kids anymore, and why I need help. So let me just stop right here, and I'll pick up after this.